Hi, welcome back to Homeschool Peace. I'm Cassandra. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a really fun idea called DIY Gameschool. If you've been homeschooling for any part of time, you've probably already heard the phrase Gameschool. It's really a part of your day, or even you could take a whole day that you just break from your regular curriculum and spend time playing games with your kids. Playing games can really increase your students' mathematical and strategy skills, so it's really a great thing to do when you really just need to take a little break from your regular curriculum. As a sort of a twist on Gameschool, I'm going to be having my students create their own board games. I have this really awesome kit I'm going to be taking you through. It's a do-it-yourself kit for kids for creating their own board game. I'm also going to be showing how I'm going to be taking this kit and combining it with some other things to really pull together a fun game school for my students. This do-it-yourself board game kit I was able to pick up right on Amazon. I do have the link below to what I ordered. When it came, it has this slip cover that goes right over top this white box. The box is white on the front as well as the back. The size of the box is just a little bit under 10 inches. And I thought this was a really great size so that when they're done creating their game, it can really store easily in our closet. So opening the lid of this box, I did feel the outside of the box was really durable. It's really thick. It feels just like the kind of box you would have for Candyland or Clue, a really nice thick box on both the front and the back. The first thing to share is the actual board game itself. The board game is folded in four, and you can open it up sort of as your standard board game. There's two sides you could potentially use. There's one side that has a grid on it, and then the other side is blank. So depending on what your student is creating, if they're creating something that's sort of a free flow path, maybe a blank side would make more sense. If they're going to need to draw some lines or make it more of a square or square spots, they might want to use the grid. And it just shuts real nicely and would go right into the box. The first thing to sort of point out that I loved about this kit was this wipe off drawing sheet. So this is sort of like their planning sheet. So once they're really designing their board game, there's some wipe off markers in the kit. There's 4 of them, and they can take these markers and actually draw what they want their board game to look like. This board game sheet is the same size as the actual board game. So once they've drawn their game and come up with that design, then they can take that design and draw it again, but on their actual board game board. So they're not really messing up the board while they're still sort of coming up with their ideas. Looking at what's included in the kit, starting first with how to move around the game. Obviously, when going through with your student on different types of games, you're going to be able to look at different games with spinners or different types of dice. And so for this one, it comes with some options that your student can pick from. The first thing is sort of your standard set of dice, and then there's another set that would be more a numbered dice. So your student could pick either one or maybe both depending on how they design their style of game. It does also come with a set of wooden dice that are blank, and there's actually stickers that come with it so that the student can either write, draw, maybe it's like there's a color on here that they roll the dice to, or a certain move, or there's some words that need to be written on the dice. They can write it on the sticker and stick it right on. Another option for moving around whatever game they create is there's also a spinner available. There's the bottom part of the spinner, and then the top, they can obviously draw right on here, whether numbers or colors. And there is a little spinning post that would go up through this little red post that goes, and so they can spin the spinner as part of the game. The next thing is pawns, or the little pieces of the game. There's a couple options here. There's some little people that they could have, little plastic people they could just simply use in the game. They also have the choice of designing their own game pieces. There's little pieces of plastic that they can then use along with 6 different cardboard tiles that they can pop out. They can use these cardboard tiles to draw a name or draw a picture. You know, maybe it's a dragon or a knight or a princess, and they can write or draw a picture, and then they can use these little stands to hold up these cards as pieces in the game. The last thing, sort of related maybe a little bit to pieces, are these little crystals. Now these crystals, obviously they could use them as pawns, or maybe they can use it as something in the game that maybe they have to collect or gather one of each or something while they're going through whatever type of game they create. Inside the box also is a blank deck of cards. These cards have nothing on the front or back, and you could potentially use them for, like, if they land on a certain spot, maybe the card tells them what they need to do, or they have like a lucky land and they get a good prize from one of these cards. Whatever your kid imagines as part of their game, they can use this deck of cards to create it. The last thing in the box is just this cardboard insert, which just sort of holds everything together and keeps everything nice and neat. And then everything fits right back into the box. For this punch out card, there's also a few tokens. There are some small tokens and large tokens as well. So that could be something that they design in the game. Maybe they need to collect or land on these certain tokens. And there also came with some extra plastic bags that they could use to put these tokens in for storage. So this is what was included in the do-it-yourself kids game board set. So now I'm going to be taking a look at how we're taking this game board set and combining it with our Gameschool. To start our Gameschool day, it simply is beginning with pulling out a lot of our favorite board games, Sorry, Clue, Monopoly, and taking the time and really just laying out those board games and seeing how is the layout of the games different? How do you move? What's the goal of the game? How do you win the game? Really just talking through how games are created. To really help with that discussion, I was able to find a great worksheet pack from the manyllittlejoys.com website. I do have the link below to her packet, and I was able to download it right from her site, along with some really great helpful information for how you could incorporate this sheet into creating your own board game. The very first sheet is really going to be that help when we're going through these other board games, being able to write down some notes of things that they see in these board games that are similar, or things that are different, or how do you win this game? And they can write down those thoughts and things they observe as they're going through the existing board games that we already have together. When we're done with this first sheet, I'm going to break and actually go into reading one of my favorite books, Jumanji. I just think it's going to be perfect tie-in with board games, of course. So I'm going to let my kids pause for a second, and we're going to read through this book together. After we read Jumanji, we're going to jump back into this worksheet. On page 2 is a great page for creating or brainstorming their board game. So this really gives them the spot to write down, like, what is the theme of their game? How are they going to win? What type of pieces would they use? What's the rules of the game? And so they can write down a lot of their brainstorming ideas right on this sheet, which is going to really help once we open up this kit together. On the final sheet of this packet, there's just a blank spot where they can draw out their game. So I'm going to let them take the time to sort of draw out some ideas or brainstorm, and that's going to help as they move into this and using that wipe-off board to sort of create sort of their first draft of their game before putting it on the real board game. And so with this sheet, along with a little bit of extra reading and this kit, my kids are going to obviously have a really fun Gameschool. I hope you enjoyed going through this idea, and if you have any ideas that you like to use for Gameschool, leave those comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And before you leave, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And I also have, if you stay tuned to the end of the video, some little clips and videos of my kids using their do-it-yourself game board kit. I hope you enjoy, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.